Yes, now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Thomas Vance YouTube channel, and today we are talking predictions for Misfits X Series 17 in Dublin, Ireland. It was originally meant to be the card where KSI fought Slim and Anthony Taylor in 2v1. Of course, it's not that anymore because KSI got injured. No longer a fight happening. I'm glad it's not happening. It shouldn't be a fight that's happening. No more gimmick fights, no 2v1s, whatever. Right, it should either be KSI versus Anthony Taylor or KSI versus Slim. I know there are excuses that it won't sell, but I think it was. I mean, you slap KSI on any pay-per-view and it will sell, right? You're not looking for Slim or Anthony Taylor to sell, you're looking for KSI to sell. He sold with Temper, he sold with Fournier, no one even knew who Fournier was. They sold with Fournier, they sold with Pineda and Swarms. He's just coming off the back of a Tommy Fury fight, so yes, the numbers wouldn't be the same. But at the end of the day, he needs a redemption fight. And their name might not be big, but their skill set is. And the people who know them know they're credible opponents. Regardless, that's not what we're talking about today. We're here talking predictions for the card. Now, let's start off easy with the first fight out. DTG versus Minicon. This is another first round fight in the Cruiserweight tournament. So far in the Cruiserweight tournament, we've had Le'Veon Bell versus Tristan Ham. Some people actually thought Tristan Ham was going to win that fight. Some people thought it was a fair fight. It was a complete mismatch. I mean, Le'Veon Bell was way too good for Tristan Ham. Tristan Ham had beat a Logan Paul lookalike. He wasn't exactly on Le'Veon Bell's level. And then the second fight was Face Temper versus Josh Brook. Now, unfortunate for Temper, but he lost that one. He got knocked out. Now, DTG was meant to fight DK Money. Instead, he's got given Minicon. Now, this is different because both DTG and Minicon have moved down from heavyweight. This is both their first fight in Cruiserweight. Now, it's a very 50-50 fight. People are saying DTG is Misfits' most improved, and while I agree, at the same time, he's still being a bit overhyped because, yes, he's got 2 knockout wins. He lost to Halal Ham in his first fight. That's to be expected. Halal Ham had experience at that point, and DTG didn't. In his comeback fight, it was a year later against SX in SX's debut. And SX clearly, once he took one punch, couldn't throw a punch. So that wasn't, although it was a credible win, it was a good performance from DTG, it wasn't a credible opponent. And the same goes for his next opponent, Miles Raksu. Miles Raksu was also in his debut, and what made this fight interesting and necessarily harder for DTG was the fact that Miles Raksu was miles taller than DTG, and that's what made it harder. But DTG made quick work of him. And he made that fight to get a dig at Ashley Raksu, although that fight is still nowhere near happening. Regardless, Minicon, his first fight, I believe he fought Arms Corleone on Showstar. It was a big mess. There were 2 massive men. Arms Corleone got the win because he was jabbing, but he was obviously carried out on a stretcher because how dead he was, because of how big he was. He steps into Misfits. His first fight is against Nick Paddywhack, Nick Joseph, some guy off Wild and Out. He was too overweight. He charged at Minicon for the first 2 rounds and then completely gassed out and lost because the referee had to stop it because the opponent was gassed out. But if the opponent never gassed out, Minicon would have lost that fight because Nick Joseph was coming forward. And then again, Minicon's next fight on Misfits, he fought Jake the Viking in his debut. And Minicon had 3 or 4 fights at this point, and he fought Jake the Viking in his debut, and it ended in a draw. Not so impressive for Minicon. Then, when we next see Minicon, we'll see him up against Arms Corleone again in a rematch. And then Arms Corleone wins the rematch, and it just so happens now that Arms Corleone was on steroids for that fight, and that's now a no contest. And then his next fight after that was Chase Demore, who notoriously made himself look a fool, and Minicon lost that fight. So Minicon's lost fights, but they've been to necessarily harder opponents than DTG, but DTG has got credible wins. So this one is a very 50-50 fight. Now, I would say what would give Minicon the advantage in this fight is 1, experience, 2, size, but 3, reach massively. And to be honest, the only factor that's actually going to matter now is the reach, because the size doesn't matter anymore. Minicon is completely slimmed down. He's got abs and everything. DTG is wider, more muscular. He's a lot smaller, but he's more muscular than Minicon. So maybe the power can translate from DTG's size. Now, Minicon's experience should play a factor with DTG, although Minicon's experience is not the best, given that he's only really had wins or went the distance with people that are inexperienced. He's only times he's went distance with someone who's quite good was a man who was big and heavy on PEDs, and it didn't really help anything for Minicon because he couldn't get anything off because he was getting thrown around the ring. So Minicon's not got the best experience. DTG has experience hitting people hard and knocking them out. Now, that's where it's a bit 50-50. Now, looking at them, they both seem confident. They both seem like they're ready, like they've had a new transformation. They've both got something to prove in this fight. And if I had to pick a name out of a hat and I had to bet on someone, I'm betting on DTG, because just based on results we've seen, you know, first lost his first fight, but it was still a close fight for a first fight. Since then, he's only been getting wins. And to be honest, I'm rooting for him. So DTG, I hope he gets the win over Minicon. The next fight is a guy called Mike Edwards versus a guy called Jake Cornish. I believe Jake Cornish is from Love Island, and Mike Edwards is some high jumper or whatever. But one blatantly obvious thing is a height difference. I believe Jake Cornish is 5'10" and Mike Edwards is like 6'6". He's completely massive compared to him, and this to me looks like either an easy jab fest for Mike Edwards, or he could just completely run through him. I mean, then again, Jake Cornish could come out the gates and just be completely rough and wild. He could be just like Andy Taylor, run up quick, smother him, be aggressive, make it hard for Mike Edwards. But then again, we have no prior boxing experience from either of these men, so we've just got to pick from what we have, and that is appearance, and that is in Mike Edwards' favour. So I'm going to go for Mike Edwards on that one. Then we go on to the main card. We have Jesse Clark. No idea who that is. I tried looking him up. I just found on Instagram. Jesse Clark versus Sami Hamed, who is Nassim Hamed's son. No, not Nassim Hamed, obviously. Literally a legend in boxing. Like, people like Ben Whittaker today, like, are literally inspired by Nassim Hamed. I mean, you see the way Ben Whittaker fights. Nassim Hamed did it first. So I think it's obvious to go with Sami Hamed on this one, because I believe Jesse Clark has no experience again. What's that going to do when you've got a prospect? You've got a legend's son, a prospect who's probably had multiple amateur fights. I mean, it's probably going to be an easy night for Sami Hamed. Then on the card we have Dean the Great, the lightweight champion, defending against Dave Fogarty. Dave Fogarty from Ireland, so obviously that's why they put him on this card. He's not a big name, necessarily. You'd look at him and be like, I don't know who that is. Apparently he's Conor McGregor's cameraman, but he's been around fighting all his life. He's had MMA fights, kickboxing fights, boxing fights. So, I mean, it could be a toss-up, but I mean, from what we know, Dean the Great is powerful, he's quick, he's explosive, he's very skilled. He's literally Misfits' most skilled fighter, in my opinion. So I think Dean the Great is going to get the win, but I don't think it's going to be easy, because Dave Fogarty sounds like he's coming from a lot of experience. And I don't think Misfits would put just some random person on here, just like fighting the champ straight away, just because he's from Ireland. I think he's got to have some credibility to him, so I believe he is a credible opponent. Otherwise, I don't think Misfits would have done that. Not surprising from Misfits though, but still, I think Dean the Great's going to get the win on that one, just out of just a pure guess. Then next fight we have HS Tiki Toki taking on some George Fensom guy. Now, from the looks of it, this George Fensom guy does not want to be in the ring. He wants the money. He's absolutely terrified. He is terrified of HS Tiki Toki. He does not want to be in that ring with him whatsoever. Absolutely whatsoever. He's just shaking every time he's saying him. He tries to give something and HS just laughs in his face. He doesn't look like he can fight whatsoever. He does just look like a pretty boy who just sits behind a phone, whatever. Doesn't look like he's ever had a fight in his life. Obviously, HS is massive. He's probably got a lot of power behind that. But I believe he has fighting, not fighting experience, but he's trained a lot of fighting before. He looks explosive. We've seen him hitting the bag. We've seen him in street fights with other people. I think HS just completely steamrolls him. Just completely runs through him. Like, I genuinely would not be surprised whatsoever. The next fight we have is Dublin's own Ben Williams. We've seen him before against Batista, and he fought on Kingpin card. I can't remember who he fought, but he fought someone. He's quite decent. He's very quick. He's got good jabs, good rights, fast punches. You know, I've not seen too many power punches from him, but he's very quick. He's very explosive. He's very skilled and technical. Then he's fighting Warren the Mechanic Spencer, who friend of Andrew Tate, so he's probably, you know, trains a lot. But he also fought Aaron Chalmers. He lost Aaron Chalmers, so that shows us kind of the level he is at. Aaron Chalmers is a very good opponent, but I know he competed with Aaron, so I think I'm thinking of the right person. If not, whatever. But just from in terms of confidence and skill, from what I've seen, I think Ben Williams has probably got this fight. But I believe that's probably a close one. That's probably going the distance. It's probably being very technical, but I believe Ben Williams has got it. Ben Williams is talking a big game like he's going to knock out Warren Spencer. I don't think he's going to do that because Warren Spencer seems like a credible fighter. He seems like he's got experience, and I think he's smarter than to get caught like that. Also, I think Ben Williams hasn't shown that much power recently, and this might be the fight where he shows some power, but he needs to show some power in order for us to believe that he's going to knock someone out. The next fight is, what is the next fight? Anthony Taylor versus Gabriel Silva. Now, Anthony Taylor was originally going to be on this card, teaming up with Slim against KSI, obviously not happening. Gabriel Silva was originally going to be on this card fighting, I believe, Weddy, whoever that is. Instead, it's been turned on its head, and this is happening. Now, this fight was meant to happen absolutely ages ago, and it didn't happen because Gabriel Silva asked for a higher purse or something like that. It was meant to happen when Gabriel Silva fought OJ Rose, and the winner could fight Anthony Taylor, and obviously Gabriel Silva won that fight. They got a big feud going. Anthony Taylor just fought literally 3 weeks ago on short notice, went in there against Samuel Erickson, who is an experienced karate combat fighter, quite fierce, and I thought that's quite a good matchup for Anthony Taylor. And Anthony Taylor completely steamrolled him, showed us a new Anthony Taylor. He did all this clinching against Sol Pappy and King Kenny, people that he did need to clinch against, he could have destroyed, but he's been smart, he's been good for Misfits, he's making sure not to kill off Sol Pappy and King Kenny's hype while just clinching and technically winning the fight. Whereas he went in there against Samuel Erickson and he completely steamrolled him. He said he had enough with the criticism. He wanted to show people what he was worth. He wanted to make sure KSI knew he was a credible opponent and a good pay-per-view draw. So that's what he's doing now. He's planning on fighting Gabriel Silva, and once he's done with Gabriel Silva, I believe he wants Anderson Silva or Gabriel Silva's brother. And to be honest, an Anderson Silva Anthony Taylor fight, I believe could sell. That could be a main event of Misfits, and I would watch it. Because I believe Anthony Taylor could probably beat Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva could probably beat Anthony Taylor. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Gabriel Silva versus Anthony Taylor. Now, what we've seen from Gabriel, in his first fight, we've seen him on Misfits against Ben Davis. Obviously not the best opponent, but we're seeing he has some power, because he dropped Ben Davis quite a few times, so he has some power. And then what we saw against OJ was he has some technical ability. He can work in the pocket, he can obviously work at range. I mean, look how long and lanky and rangy he is. He's got good jabs, he's got good uppercuts, good hooks. He knows how to place a punch. And I think with Anthony Taylor, it's very vital, because Anthony Taylor, whether he's clinching you or he's punching you, Anthony Taylor's running full head of steam at you. He's being aggressive. You need to catch him while he's coming. And I think precision, when you're trying to catch someone, precision is the most important thing. Precision and timing. Then obviously some added power would help, but the first thing you need to do before you have the power is land the punch. So I think precision and timing, Gabriel Silva's got, and that would absolutely help him when Anthony Taylor's running straight at him. So that could go in Gabriel Silva's favour. We might have a good performance here from Gabriel Silva, but I think with the kind of story arc Anthony Taylor's going for, and the momentum he's on right now, and what we've seen based on last performance, this is where I had Anthony Taylor in terms of, like, let's just say this is where I had him in terms of boxing skill altogether, just as a boxer altogether. After that Samuel Erickson fight, he went all the way up here. Now, he needs to keep this here, because Gabriel Silva, I believe, is probably here. So if Gabriel Silva can dethrone him, in go for Anthony Taylor, but Anthony Taylor needs to maintain that, and he's a champ, he needs to fight like a champ. I believe Anthony Taylor can get this done against Gabriel Silva, and I believe Anthony Taylor can knock him out. Not because I think Gabriel Silva's easy to beat, but I think on a technical ability, Gabriel Silva matches Anthony Taylor. I think Anthony Taylor can rock the jaw of Gabriel Silva, because Gabriel Silva is quite skinny compared to Anthony Taylor. Anthony Taylor could be a lot more powerful, and he could sweep Gabriel Silva completely off his feet. Now, the main event, Danny Aaron's makes his debut against debuting Danny Simpson, football player versus FIFA YouTuber. Now, obviously, people would think, oh, he's an athlete, so he's going to be naturally quite better. And Danny Aaron's is a gamer who has a big hunchback. But you've got to take into consideration, Danny Aaron's has been training a lot longer. He's been training like 6 months for this. He's absolutely ready. And we've seen both of them on the pads. Now, Danny Aaron's looks a lot better on pads, and anyone can look good on pads. But I'm not just looking at him punching the pads, I'm looking at how they're throwing punches, their stance. Danny Simpson looked like he was still learning how to do a boxing stance while throwing a punch. Danny Aaron's looked like he knew how to stand and throw a punch. So that immediately is a big tell that Danny Aaron's has the advantage over Danny Simpson. Now, if it goes all the rounds, I have a lot of faith that Danny Simpson has a way better cardio than Danny Aaron's. Danny Aaron's has been training boxing 6 months, and he says he runs 10Ks and stuff like that. But we don't know how that translates in an actual fight. Now, Danny Simpson, he used to play 90-minute football. I don't doubt for 1 second that he can't go 4 rounds with Danny Aaron's. Now, what I think will happen though is I think Danny Aaron's is a lot quicker with the hands and a lot more powerful than Danny Simpson, and I think Danny Aaron's is prepared. He knows exactly what he's doing. Danny Simpson is here for the experience. He believes he wants to be here, but I'm not sure he knows exactly why, and I'm not sure he's fully there. I think Danny Aaron's is fully there. He's fully ready. So I think Danny Aaron's completely outmatches Danny Simpson, outpunches him, outskills him, gets too many power shots. Maybe Danny Simpson retires in the corner, but definitely a decision win for Danny Aaron's. But that's my predictions for the card. KSI will apparently be performing and commentating all the way throughout the cards, performing old songs and new songs. He's meant to be dropping new songs, I believe, tomorrow, but if not, he'll perform them at the stadium. Now, they said they were bringing out special guests. Now, obviously, they announced the EP list, and on the EP list, apparently, is John Legend. But then when they said they were bringing out a special guest, they said especially big for Ireland, so that's got me confused as to who it could be. But maybe he might bring John Legend out anyway. Regardless, that's my prediction for Misfits X Series 17. Can't wait to see how much of it I get right, if I do get any of it right. But thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.